Hey, what's up? This is Matt Ackerson, founder of AutoGrow.co, as you probably already know. And in this video, I'm talking about the concept of persuasion marketing. What is persuasion marketing? This is a new term that I've come up with to accurately express what I feel is a very important subject. And especially in terms of marketing and sales funnels, it provides the right mental context for you to consider how to more effectively sell in. And what it basically says is this, that marketing should not be considered in a vacuum. And it's not just about stating benefits. It's not about stating even a logical argument necessarily. It's about marketing in the context of persuasion and the idea that we as humans make decisions, especially purchase decisions, for completely irrational reasons. Let me tell you a bit more and give you some examples. So to be clear, the definition of persuasion marketing is the idea that we as people are able to make rational purchase decisions some of the time when much of the time we actually don't. And instead, we make decisions based on emotion and factors that are completely not logical reasons at all, like the fact that, for example, other people have bought a product. Because when you logically think about it, just because someone else has bought a product, although that might be a shortcut that we often use, and quite naturally, to decide if we should actually go to a restaurant, buy a product, buy a service, whatever, it's not a logical argument. It's just kind of a shortcut and an irrational thing. Because those people are completely different from us, and they could have completely different reasons, contexts, businesses, whatever that motivated them to buy in the first place. Perhaps they were just following other people that came before them, right? So let me give you an example of, it's a bit almost freaky if you look at this example. And it demonstrates how just one part of your mind is subordinate to another. Because even though you know rational reality is one way, you perceive it, your brain perceives it visually to be another way, and that's how your ears also perceive it. And this is called the McGurk Effect. And I encourage you to take a minute to watch this short video. It's a fascinating experiment where the experimenters will show you a face of the person actually saying the word, I believe it's ba first, and then he says, or not, it's not a word, but saying the sound ba, and then says the word fa repeatedly. But even though, and the lips will move the same way for both. However, you will actually hear fa instead of ba, even though you know, and even though they tell you that he's saying ba, all right? And so this is just one example of how one part of your mind is subordinate to the other. The visual sense is superior to the auditory sense, and this is just one example of that. Here's example number 2 from marketing professor Jonah Berger over at Wharton University. And he's a marketing professor there, and he did this experiment, this research, and he concluded that it must be based on what he calls the rule of 100, which basically says that even if a marketing discount is equal to or greater than in terms of the actual amount, so for example, he claimed that $500 off converted customers much better than 25% off because the number 500 is bigger than 25. So even though this discount is exactly the same, it didn't really make any difference to the customer's purchase decision, right? So rationally, just to break it down once again, rationally, as customers, we know that 25% and $500 is the exact same amount. But in terms of advertising, actually putting the bigger number out there converted substantially better in Jonah Berger's experiment here. This is further reinforced by other anecdotal blog posts and research that I've read. For example, I've seen other A/B tests in regards to pricing where actually removing a comma or the decimal place, for example, 0.00, that would actually lead to a higher conversion rate just because there'd be less numbers displayed, or even making the font size of the price smaller versus bigger. Let me just come back to the McGurk effect that I mentioned a second ago, because one of the main points that I wanted to convey with this example was the fact that persuasion, which can be used and can be the filter through which we actually view our own marketing, that it works even when we are aware that it's happening. Because, for example, in this case, we know that he's saying one thing, and yet we still hear the other thing. Because as humans, we often think that we are so highly evolved and we may be so super rational, and I think I'm a rational person, and I try to make rational decisions, but the fact is that we are not, and our brains are limited in terms of how we can perceive reality, and that is the reason why we make irrational purchase decisions, and or why we are influenced by irrational factors or arguments that simply aren't logical. So here's the one action that I want you to take today. And it's not so much of an action as it is a mindset. I want you to spend the rest of today internalizing this definition of persuasion marketing, what it is, and I want you to think about, just try to objectively kind of watch yourself throughout the day, and you may start to find some little hints of what I'm saying and how you yourself are not rational. You might say, if you're watching yourself closely enough, you can pick up on things that are influencing you one way or another, even for something as simple as, well, should I go to the store to get some milk on the way home? And if you just kind of watch your thought process evolve, you're going to notice some really interesting patterns, and you're going to even entertain yourself with some of the interesting reasons that you give yourself for doing something or not doing something. All right? So that's your homework. I want you to meditate on this idea, internalize it, and watch yourself throughout the rest of today, and think about, viewing your moment-to-moment life through this lens of persuasion and persuasion marketing, okay? So that's it for today. If you never want to miss another video or another article like this, subscribe using the newsletter subscription link directly below. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, click the red button right there. And there's so many more interesting examples that I didn't have time to cover in this video. I encourage you to watch and read the entire article, also linked in the description on YouTube. All right, there's also an option to sign up on this page to make sure you get our daily and weekly newsletter. All right, so once again, Matt from autogrow.co signing off. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think about persuasion marketing. Do you think that this is bogus science? Have I done a good job of supporting the idea that this is a real thing? And how are you going to apply it? How is this going to shape your marketing strategy and your marketing mindset going forward? Leave a comment below and let me know. I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you soon.